So I just want to do the time waster jingle with everyone who's on the show. Do you remember how it goes?
No. How does it go?
Time waster radio. Radio for those who refuse to listen.
Okay. Ready?
All right. One, 2, 3.
Time waster radio. Radio for the folks who refuse to listen.
All right. Here we are in downtown Berkeley?
No, South Campus, South Side.
South Campus at the Dana Street Theater with Philip Huang. And I haven't seen you in a while, Philip.
Is that true?
No, it's not true. I spent the night at the house, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. I had questions to ask you with concern to contemporary performance art in the Bay Area.
No thanks.
Okay.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay. We could talk about depression. Yeah.
I would love to talk about depression.
Okay, well, let's put depression on the burner, and what other topics do you think would be fascinating for the listeners?
I don't know. Depression's a good place to start.
Okay. Well, how do you feel about depression?
I'm pretty good right now.
Yeah.
I think this is the best mental health I've been in. Mm-hmm. God, is that true? No, it is. Yeah.
Looks like it. You look like you're...
For a brief window 2 years ago, I had about 7 months of pristine mental health.
Has it been... Oh, okay, 2 years
Before 2 years ago, and then...
And then the
a very rapid over the cliff.
Speaking of contemporary performance art in the Bay Area, that was part of your fall into depression, no?
No, my fall into depression was, oh God, we can get into the whole fucking why I hate liberals.
Oh, I agree completely.
But yeah, this time I feel like I've earned it. Like I've earned my mental health.
Yeah.
2 years ago was sort of a fluke.
It was just, you think it was manic, or?
No, it wasn't mania. 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was fired from a job, remember?
What job was that?
Yeah, nobody remembers because I barely remember, but at the time it seemed like the worst thing that could ever happen.
It wasn't a swim coach.
No, I went back to public health.
Okay.
And
I do remember.
I was like, oh, I'm 40 years old. I'm going to go pick up this career that I left 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. You were really excited about it.
I was, but from the beginning of that job, I knew it was wrong. And they offered me full-time benefits at halftime.
Okay. And then they fired you.
And I resisted it, and I was like, my gut kept telling me it was not the right... Because I knew at that point 2 years ago that I wanted to travel.
Okay.
And...
travel where?
Anywhere. Just get the fuck out of town. And so I knew it was the wrong place to be, and I felt it every day going to work. I felt dread. And also because the people I worked up with were really just fucking idiots.
What was your commute?
Like 15 minutes.
That's a very Kansas question. What's your commute?
Thanks for interrupting my story.
Trying.
Horrible interviewer.
Part of my process. And you were well aware of that before we even started.
And then they fired me a week before Christmas. I was fired. I was fired by the guy that I had hired 10 years ago to replace me. If you can picture that.
So it was kind of like a Christmas Carol-y thingy.
And I spiraled kind of down deep into whatever it was. And then I snapped out of it.
How long did that last, though?
About 3 months. 2 months of very deep depression.
Okay.
And then I snapped out of it. I went to a therapy session, and did I ever tell you this story?
I don't know.
And my mind was just full of constant, unending, like, you're a fuck-up, you're a failure, you're done, you're a fuck-up. You fucked up every opportunity you've ever had. I just couldn't.
That's a thread for when you get depressed. Those are the...
Yeah, or when I'm depressed, usually what I get is just numbness.
Okay.
But this was opposite. I really felt like my life was over. Little did I know. And then I went to a therapy session and I just couldn't get the voices to stop. And all of a sudden I drifted up above me somewhere, like 100 feet into the air.
In a waking dream, or?
I just visualized it.
Okay.
And I looked down and I saw it was just one little tiny dot on the map. And I was surrounded by millions of dots. And in that moment, I remember very clearly saying to myself, oh my God, my thoughts aren't real.
Okay.
And in that moment, I'm telling you, Peter, this has never happened in my life.
All right.
In that moment, the voices stopped.
Okay.
Completely.
Wait, explain that one more time. You just saw that you were a little...
I was a little tiny dot, and I looked down and realized, oh my God, I'm just one of like millions of other dots.
Well, this is a thought I have on acid all the time, so maybe that's why I'm rarely depressed, but...
Yeah. I think there's something about recognizing the insignificance of my own story.
Yeah.
And I was fine. I mean, in that moment, I was fine.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to Spain and Morocco for 2 months.
Was that my computer?
No, that was my computer, my
Oh,
phone.
okay. All right, perfect.
And I came back and just lived this fantastic life in Berkeley that year. Every single day I was here, I just was astonished at how beautiful my life was.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about your love for Berkeley. How long have you been here?
24 years.
And you came here originally for school?
Uh-huh.
And you've been in the same apartment this entire time?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
This is my first apartment.
Your first and only apartment.
First and only.
No wonder you're having a hard time never leaving here. I get it more. I didn't realize this was your first and only apartment.
So what happened last year with the psycho roommates?
Psycho roommates. I think I used to be one of those psycho roommates. Not yours, but I've been one. But you had a psycho roommate, for sure.
2.
They come in pairs. It was a Buffy joke.
They still live in the neighborhood.
Oh, do you see them?
Yep, I see them.
Wow. Have you had words, or
No.
did you have like a court
It's
order?
really not worth... Huh?
I didn't know if you had a court order not to speak to each other or anything or something. Or...
No, they filed a restraining order, and I went to court and took a baseball bat and knocked them out of the park. And the judge was said to them at the end, I believe Mr. Huang has the right to make any kind of art he wants in his house.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the art you made or no?
The art I made was, a week after Trump got elected.
Something like that, yeah.
I painted 11 swastikas on my body. I was wearing swim shorts, Speedos. Mm-hmm. And I went on campus in the middle of the day and did a piece about being the liaison for the Nazi party coming into power.
You went on the Berkeley campus during the student gathering, like people were trying to recruit for different groups.
Whatever it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever the noon madness is.
And
I did a piece about being the community liaison with the Nazi party. The first gay and Asian liaison of the Nazi party. And here to assure everybody that everything was going to be just fine.
it was a really short piece, if I remember correctly. It was like less than a minute.
Well,
I mean,
no, the whole thing was, I think, 10 to 15 minutes.
I mean, once you recorded it.
And, yeah, I don't know how anyone could see it as anything but satire, but when you march into the idiot generation that we have these days
Yeah.
on American college campuses, and not just American, I think Canada is also getting it, but you know...
You're at the heart of it, though, here in Berkeley.
I was at the heart of it, you know, and because of that, it triggered a mental breakdown from my roommate who, now looking back, has always exhibited signs of paranoia.
This is someone who was aware of your work, too. Like, they fully knew
He did know. So he posted, so went on Twitter, and then my roommate went on Twitter and posted my work information, and then and it just escalated from there. People were calling my jobs nonstop, telling them that They had hired a Nazi and to fire me, and
What's the term for that? It was like, it wasn't just the public shaming.
doxing.
What doxing?
I was doxed.
You were doxed.
And then they filed a restraining order, and then they really ultimately tried to just take the apartment from me that they had lived in for less than 9 months.
And you had tons of mutual friends. Or
Not a ton.
Not a ton, okay.
And they called the police and told them I had threatened them with a gun.
That's right.
They would come into the apartment with police. Just psychotic.
Didn't they force you to take like some sort of psychiatric test? Didn't the cops burst in here with a gun or no?
No.
Oh, I misunderstood that story.
So there went my 7 months of amazing, 9 months of amazing mental health. I went kind of overnight into now I recognize as PTSD.
You couldn't sleep.
I didn't sleep for about 4 months. I was psychotic. I was suicidal.
Yeah.
I would wake up I would wake up after 3 or 4 hours of sleep and start moaning, please help me, please help me. And then it would escalate into somebody kill me, somebody kill me. Mm-hmm. And then it would, and then I would do this in the middle of the day. I'd just be out in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Wandering around, saying, please kill me, somebody kill me, somebody kill me, somebody kill me.
I laugh because you were also calling me at that time.
And I, thank God, had a group of friends that were available. I think I was wearing everyone out after 4 months. And then
It was 3 phone calls a day when someone's suicidal, displaying signs of it is a lot to take, but yeah.
But, you know, and I think after 4 months of that, well, first of all, I got them out of the apartment, finally. Mm-hmm. Got the...
How long did that take?
Well, after they lost in court, they suddenly changed their tune.
Became the sweetest roommates ever?
No, and then they wanted money. They wanted a fucking buyout.
Oh, and you did that.
And then they posted a GoFundMe page.
I remember.
Oh my God, that GoFundMe page. Were they not the biggest victims in the world?
I think I screen grabbed that actually because it was
did too,
nuts.
because it's a precious document of
roommates.
And then what happened after that? Yeah, and then I started coming out of it, but I think I was out of crisis. I mean, for a while, I couldn't be in the house because I didn't feel safe here. The only place I could really go was, there was this old abandoned hallway in this building downtown in this office park.
And you just go sit
And
there?
I would go and sit for hours in there.
Nice.
And just stare at the wall.
I assume there was free Wi-Fi.
And just, nope. And I would just be in there, like, rocking back and forth for hours. And, until they kicked me out. But, you know, and then I started getting therapy. I had 3 therapists at one time. I had EMDR, which was really helpful at the time.
What is that?
Eye movement desensitization therapy.
Okay.
Remedy. I don't know what the R stands for.
Is that like being hypnotized? No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I got free sessions because
it's the Bay Area.
well, it was a lover who was providing me with that.
It's the Bay Area.
And then it's the Bay Area. And then but my 2 therapists that I had, one was paid for by Medi-Cal, thank God. And the other was a sliding scale at Pacific Center. And they both said, go travel.
Which I was also saying.
You were also saying. People were saying that to me, but I think already in my life I was starting down that path. In fact, one of the awful things that I couldn't do was in the middle of this, I was supposed to go to Spain for 6 weeks.
That's right, you canceled the ticket at the last minute.
I canceled my ticket on the way to the airport.
Yep.
Because I decided to check my mail and found out my roommates had filed all of this bullshit action against me.
Yeah.
And I often wonder what would happen if I had just taken the ticket and gone.
I pushed for you to go on that ticket, but it's stressful as someone who also has been bullied out, or not bullied out, but
Right.
when the legal paperwork starts, it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. Yeah, you know how it is. Just every day becomes like, oh, is another subpoena gonna come?
Totally.
Is another fucking process server gonna show up?
Yeah, in the land of the free, if you don't have money, lots of things can happen to you without knowing it, just by not showing up for.
Court date.
Yep, exactly. Or not even just court dates.
Just not
Sometimes
returning a
filing
document.
paper. Yeah.
And so,
So you went to travel.
well, I booked a ticket. I said, this is my last shot, you know, and booked a one-way ticket to
Barcelona.
Barcelona, yeah. And really didn't know at the end of that trip what I was coming home to.
Yeah, is that the one where you went to Morocco as well?
Yeah, and I just left all my jobs. I knew I was coming back to at least one job, but I didn't know if when I came back I would be evicted. Didn't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Still didn't know. And really on that trip I just let go.
When did that stop hovering, that idea that you might get evicted? Because I know.
Oh, it's still there.
I got you.
It'll never quite go away. But now, what I learned traveling, and I in the last year, I've taken 3 trips. Each trip was about 2 months to 10 weeks.
Yeah.
And I discovered there was a whole big world out there. And as much as I love this apartment,
It's also awesome to see the rest of the world.
it's also, I know I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this depression and this, meteor hitting my life, it took me, because my whole future was about having a rent-controlled apartment. As people do.
On the coasts, for sure.
As people do. But I don't know. I'm much more at ease with not knowing what the future's going to be.
Me
I'm
too.
Yeah, so, you too, Peter. You a lot more than me, I think.
Yeah. I just feel, actually, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about, what's sort of been hammered into me since getting bullied out of my apartment, and then having 4 or 5 years now of insane chaos. I feel like that, what are those old adages, like, God only gives you as much as you can handle? In some ways, I think that is kind of true, because it keeps happening. It's like a new layer every time I find a permanent super chaos, and then I go, oh well, I can deal with this. It's fine. 3 months later, a new version of it pops up, and so, anyways, I'm fascinated by it. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to kick back and do this podcast. I want to talk to people who are living life and figuring out. I have a question for you with concern to, you do a lot of counseling and
And coaching.
Coaching, yeah. And so how did it feel, because in many ways I feel like you were calling there was like 4 or 5 of us that you were calling during your depression and spiral, and you were kind of asking us to coach you, which was an interesting turn, because the majority of the people you were calling, I personally haven't asked you for any coaching sessions other than just being a friend. But how did it feel to know that you're on the other side of it? Like,
Well, I am on the other side. I feel like this is why I say this period of mental wellness is earned. I think 2 years ago was kind of a fluke. I really just had a moment where, I go to the Zen center and they say these kind of epiphanies happen either slowly or instantly. And sometimes both. But this one I really earned. I put in really good mental habits.
awesome.
Which is I don't let myself spiral into a thought.
Yeah.
Because once you start a thought, those thoughts just go, it's one little thing happens and suddenly you're homeless and toothless.
Ignorance is bliss, for sure.
I don't know if it's ignorance. I think it's just I'm okay with my process right now is instantly when I have a thought, I just go, oh, I'm having a thought. And I just, I don't let myself kind of go into the rabbit hole, which is, I think, what causes depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's not as easy. It doesn't stop the thought necessarily. But I think being aware of the thought gets you out of the thought. Because now you're just, some part of you is standing outside witnessing
Yeah.
the anxiety process.
Are you self-medicating while you're doing this?
No.
Well, you don't count marijuana or nicotine as self-medicating?
I guess, I guess nicotine, but no. Been pretty sober in the last couple months.
Yeah.
Um,
I find marijuana not to be helpful. As an adult, it does not help me with...
yeah, it does make the mind go a little wonky, especially with anxiety. It does cause anxiety in me sometimes.
Yeah, since the wildfire, I haven't... Smoking weed is just... It's a nightmare.
What about drinking?
Drinking is my go-to. Yeah, I think in my body's just... It's just what I'm used to. But yeah, I don't know. Of course, I drink more than I should, but I also like it. And I just have to, like, that's, I don't, if I was angry drunk or, I'm sure I've had some moments, I think, but, like, generally speaking.
What do you like sober?
You've met, you saw me this morning sober.
That was it.
I got a coffee. I was totally sober. Is it the rumor that I'm really constantly drunk? Or
Yes.
It's the truth. Oh, well, it's the truth. No, I stopped day drinking for quite a bit, so I don't.
And what was that like?
It's fine. I mean, the honest to God difference is productivity. I have noticed that it does. I do need to drink sometimes to facilitate my drawing the way that I want it to be. I can draw and be sober, and I'm fine. I don't like it. It's it's kind of a bizarre conundrum to be in. But I also can't be wasted. Like, and you know me enough to know that I don't.
You don't get wasted.
I don't generally get wasted. If I'm socializing with a large group of people, it can happen. But I'm a slow drip guy. I like a little bit.
A little nip here and there.
Yeah, it's like an ease. But so I assume some people. I feel like maybe for a while you were using marijuana doing that, or no?
I think no. Right now, no. I say this with indica in my vape,
That's
but
true.
it is actually congealed and there's actually no effect.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy being sober.
Yeah, I know you do.
If I get stoned, I think I get stoned now maybe a couple times a week or once a week.
Yeah, to use it in your art practice, or?
No, I don't really have an art practice as part of the practice.
And I really hate using the term art practice, and I apologize for using it.
No, I think it's a good term because it is a practice.
Yeah.
It's something you sit down to do whether you feel like it or not. And
I would call that work.
it is work.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful work and I miss it. You know, I was someone who wrote every night for 3 or 4 or 5 hours for 15 years.
And that's gone. You don't do that anymore.
It's gone. It's totally
You're
gone.
still writing a bit, though.
I'm still writing a bit, but there's not a part of me that wants desperately, that needs to write.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
for sure.
And then for a while that became performance, and I really needed to do performance, and I don't feel that anymore.
Let's talk about that briefly before we move on to it. So performance. So we were in the Dana Street Theater. You started the Home Theater Festival in the Bay Area.
Not just the Bay Area.
That's true.
It spread to like 15 countries.
Well, was it called the International Home Theater? Yeah, it was always called the International. Yeah. So I guess we should explain, you want to explain what the project was? And
I just got people to make art in their houses, put on performances. And I never advertised it and I wrote a whole manifesto around why, but my idea was always that if the idea is strong enough and has legs, it'll spread itself. So I never really reached out to people to join it. And it spread overseas in the second year.
you also made it the form to participate was extremely simple and you didn't exclude anyone.
No, I made it part of, to be a part of the festival, all you really had to do was say yes. I set the lowest bar possible for participation because that's what I always believe in.
Yeah.
So it was just a quick thing. You say as much or as little as you want. If you had a photo, great. If you didn't, I don't care. You charge whatever the fuck you want and keep all the money. Mm-hmm. And people really took it upon themselves to put on really beautiful, elaborate shows. You know, there were also just people who would do a little dance in the living room for four of their friends.
Yeah,
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then people would put on, you know, Adam Sussman would put on a full production of Moby Dick and had, you know, hundreds of people come through in a weekend.
Yeah.
And I would do like a 6-day run of a show, and
Your shows were, I just gotta say, your shows were amazing.
and you would do your cabaret, and it was fun because it was kind of both a kind of low stakes and high stakes thing.
It was beautiful. It really
It was beautiful. It was play.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought the best art making came from, should feel, or really doing any kind of project, should just feel like you're 6 years old and you're in a treehouse planning a war.
If you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, and what was interesting about the Home Theater Festival was even the parts of theater making that you don't like sending out invites or blah, 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 what have you, felt fun again.
True. I agree with
It
that.
all felt fun. And what was starting to happen was that the press was starting to cover home theater shows. In fact, there were several newspapers that unsolicited would just do profiles on us. And my ultimate goal, if I had stayed with it, was that the audience, the press, and the art makers themselves would make no differentiation between a legitimate, quote-unquote, legitimate theater venue and a home venue. And so that the press would cover a production in someone's backyard as seriously as they would cover some another forgettable production of what have you at the
I feel like that. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off.
Yeah.
I feel like that did. I feel like at some point someone's production did. I know when Ig went to Chicago, which I haven't seen too much of it being promoted there, but it really took off.
Oh,
there.
Chicago did massive festivals there. And so, you know, it's also an open source. If anyone wants to take the Home Theater Festival and start it up again, start it in their own city, they can have the name, they can have...
I was about to say, you're also in the Bay Area. I'm always hoping for someone to like take the mantle and just, because you never really had a mantle. But it does need a little bit of a prod. It needs someone.
Yeah, and I guess I don't care anymore, the way that most artists don't care anymore about this town. I don't feel that I don't even want to talk about this because we've been talking about it for 7 years.
Oh, about how boring the Bay Area has become?
Well, the death of art and the death of art.
So on that, I'd like to argue, now that I've been back here and coming for a brief stay to switch
You've seen a lot more than I have.
I've seen a lot, and I've seen a lot of stuff that I've been reminded of the things that I like in the Bay Area. I feel the one thing that's depressing for me personally when I come to visit is that everyone here is over it. I still kind of have this like Kansas gleam of just, I can't believe, specifically for me it's the city, but just the geography and the people. I feel like the theater in the streets is stunning. Everything that happens here, I mean, of course, and I also know it's like a limited time offer, so I'm really soaking it in. But just the conversations on the bus. Yesterday I heard the amazing like two 22-year-olds talking about getting their IUDs and whether or not, how painful it was. And I know that's not the art scene, but I do think I can see the stagnant in the like corporate culture art scene here that's really taken off, but I still think there's a beauty in the area.
You're right, and I don't see it. My eyes are open, you know. I mean, I really love Berlin, but people who live in Berlin feel the same way about it as we feel about the Bay Area.
I like Berlin, but I'm not in love with Berlin. That's so Bay Area and snotty. No, Berlin, really, you like Berlin because of the Bears, let's be real.
Well, I love Berlin because of the ferries.
The ferries, yeah. The radical ferries.
The radical ferries. Yeah. I mean, they saved my life when I was there. They really showed me like, oh shit, there's a whole world out here that's not within a half-mile radius of my house.
Yeah. You were spending a lot of time up in the French mountains, though, right?
Yeah, in the sanctuary there. I'm going back next month.
Okay. Oh, you're going. How long are you going to be there?
I think about a month. But
shoot, you're not. Well, if you can fly into Athens, come visit me.
I might. I don't have much time left on my visa. I only have like 3 weeks.
Are you fucking kidding me? That doesn't.
I don't know. I don't.
I violated mine already, but whatever. This is now it's on.
Now
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
on record.
I definitely do. I am more wary now with the current administration with some of this stuff, but generally speaking, you're not. I don't. I've talked to a lot of people coming back and forth like they don't care because people go to work and
Well, it'll reset. It's as I understand it, they look at what happened in the last 180 days.
oh, I thought it was the whole year.
No, you get 90 days in the EU per 180 days. So they
Oh.
take whatever day you're coming into through customs. They look back at the last 180 days.
Yeah, I'll be violating it again by going back now.
No, because you left in March.
No,
When did you?
I left in late May. My life is yeah.
Yeah, you're right about at the edge of that. So,
Yeah, I'll be whatever.
but
Not
I also
worried.
hear that, unless they enter something into the computer, which they don't when they just stamp you,
Yeah, which they didn't do.
it doesn't enter into the system. It doesn't set off red alarms.
Except that in the States now everything's automated. Like when I landed at JFK and they you have to do a computer log of your.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, travel. Aren't we lucky enough to travel? I would argue about being a gay, queer man, woman, person, no children. I'm happy I made this decision. I'm glad I took the choice of being a fag. I can travel now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
I always could, but I didn't.
Yeah. What was holding you back?
Depression
Yeah.
and thinking it was too expensive and
That's
always
always
had jobs.
Yeah. It's a big breakthrough though when you realize that. I mean, you know me enough to know I really don't have money. I'm traveling. You've helped
Yeah,
me
you really
come
have $6 in your pocket at any time.
It's
That, and you managed to
see the world.
see the world.
Yeah, I personally have a deep faith in humanity, which a lot of people who know me kind of giggle at. But when I travel, that's one of the beauties of it, is meeting new people and relying on, you could say I'm being like a mooch or something, but I really find it to be invigorating to meet absolutely new and strangers and just have a complete lovely evening, week, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about throwing yourself into the world. I think what you said something like, if you're engaged with the world engages back.
That sounds something like that.
That sounds like something Peter Max would say. And I have found that to be true. I have also found it to be true that God does give you exactly what you can handle.
Yeah. Hopefully we're nearing my limit. But all right. So let's see. What else we covered? I feel like there's something important that you have to offer the world that we haven't got to. What do you think it is?
Me?
Yeah. Advice.
I don't know. I just. I mean, I understand why I was depressed now.
Yeah.
And why I spent so much of my life being depressed and anxious, just wasting those years.
Do you have regret about that?
Yes, tons of regrets about it. Tons of regrets that I spent so much of my life. It's not even the kind of disastrous, catastrophic depression the last 2 years. It really was the insidious, functional depression that I had for about 3 or 4 years before that.
That blah.
That blood where just, I couldn't come out of that fog.
Yeah.
And because I was so attached to the idea of hanging on in my apartment and just subsisting on the least possible and just those years of just unnecessary deadness.
I feel like the indifference can kill you. That's
The
when
indifference, yeah.
Yeah. That's when I know I'm truly depressed. That it scares me.
And it's that indifference where, when I was in crisis, I was trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
I was looking for answers. I was getting therapy.
Goals, motivating.
I was calling people. I was in crisis.
Yeah.
But in that kind of indifferent, insidious, functional depression, I wasn't looking for answers. I just thought this was life. And those years I really fucking regret.
And when you think that's what life is, you don't want to be around it.
I wasn't, yeah. And
Were you planning a suicide? Did you like...
did I get that far as to planning a suicide? No, but I would stand at BART tracks and think about jumping in front.
Well, that's every
Which everyone.
time I get on the goddamn train.
But you know, But I woke up every morning. The first image I had was the first image I had in my mind was putting a gun into my mouth.
But you don't.
I also realized the thing about that fucking voice that says you should kill yourself is it's broadcasting to everybody. I wasn't special. I wasn't like.
We're all.
The universe didn't pick me out to tell me I should kill myself.
Everyone can pick up that AM channel if they want to.
Exactly. It's just broadcast. It's like some weird pirate radio station that's broadcasting to everyone. And some people tune into it.
Yeah.
And some people don't. Most people don't.
And some media and music. I learned a good friend of mine once said, Peter, I really enjoy listening to Radiohead in the car with you, but eventually you got to realize this shit's making us suicidal. And I was like, no, it's not. It's art. It's beautiful. And I realized listening to Radiohead daily for a while was not the best medication.
I love Radiohead.
For sure. I can't even believe I just brought them up. And actually, she would also say that with Pearl Jam and other things. I'm dating myself here. But yeah, I do think if you like obsessively listen to certain things over and over again, they're not also, they can be very unhealthy in the sense of...
No, I don't feel that.
Well, we differ.
My suicidality did not come from listening to the music.
I'm not saying it caused it, I'm saying it doesn't help sometimes.
I think it came from... I love melancholy.
Same here.
Without melancholy, I wouldn't make art. I wouldn't have written.
Yeah.
But, and I like, I was always someone who romanticized depression and suicide and death and mourning. But I was a kid, I would think I was in my 20s when I wrote most of those short stories in my book, when I hadn't really experienced anything in life.
But yeah, you feel
when
things.
You see the real stuff, you're like, okay, it's nothing like I thought it would be.
But yet, also, those are the years where it's more visceral. The emotions, like your hormones, are still balancing out. I think, or I think they're still.
Well, I was always someone who wanted to feel more.
Yeah.
I felt too much. And which is, some people are, and my art, my writing, and my performances were a good vehicle for that. I also think now I feel a lot less. But I feel, and I don't miss the ups and downs.
Yeah.
I don't miss it. And it's not,
I'm with you on that one.
And I always thought it was either you felt numb or you felt really high or really down. Like it's up or down or it's nothing. And I just feel really kind of like, I have a certain wavelength that I go and I can experience happiness and pleasure and feel grateful and I can feel melancholy. But I don't have those huge highs and downs anymore. For the most part. Life is not in huge technicolor. But also I feel much more content, much more present.
More appreciative, or...
Yeah, I'm not riding those huge roller coasters of emotions that I was before. And no medication. I tried medication on this last one and...
Me either.
Didn't do much for
me. As
me.
I sip my whiskey at 11 in the morning. Yeah, no medication. Have you done medication before?
I had done Wellbutrin, which saved my ass in my 20s. I had a really severe episode in my 20s.
Yeah. Sorry for the high five. It just felt natural.
Antidepressant high five.
I mean, I've gotten through several hurdles with no... I'm all for it. I know people need it. I just knew it wasn't the right path for me.
Yeah, I'm not against it. And, and I had tried antidepressants this last round, and if it had worked, I would have stayed on it.
Yeah.
But what Wellbutrin did was actually made my suicidal thoughts faster.
Nice.
So instead of just thinking, you should kill yourself, when I took Wellbutrin, it became, you should kill yourself, kill yourself. You should kill yourself. Which is, and I remember I was standing in the middle of the street one day, and the voices just ramped up so quickly because of the medication. I was standing in the middle of traffic, and all I could hear was kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself.
Horrifying.
It was horrifying, and so I stopped. And
Yeah. I don't know. I have a heart condition, so I have to try really hard not to take anything that I don't have to. But since I'm on prep and stuff too, whatever. But yeah, I'm all for it. No stigma. I know people who it's definitely saved their lives.
yeah. No, totally.
I fear, maybe my time is coming.
But I also, for me, I also realized my depression always had a message.
And what was it?
I think looking back at it was always a process of letting go. It was always telling me I was too attached to something. And the only way out of depression for me was always to let go of something. So I think the most beautiful thing I have learned is to just say, I don't know. My mind wants to know, and I just go, sorry, don't know.
I'm okay with the chaos.
Yeah. I don't know if it's chaos.
Well, the world's chaos. I would.
I don't know if the world is chaos. I think the world is doing its thing.
It's gestating.
Yeah. I'm okay with... I don't feel like it's chaos in terms of it's turbulence, for me anyway. It might be different for you. But it's always been, and it's a thing I can experience when I'm traveling, where it's just one thread naturally picks up the other. Things have a sequence. You know what I mean?
I think so.
Yeah.
Existence de la résistance.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I have now that I didn't have before is now I trust myself. My fundamental relationship to myself is one of trust. I know I will take care of business. I know my ability to survive. And I know that even under difficult circumstances, I'll do fine. I'll be just fine.
Did you realize that? So when you were reaching out to the core group of us,
at that time I didn't.
Well, yeah, because just from my side of that, you concerned us even more so than just reaching out, because we all had private discussions about this, about
Really?
how we saw you. We had an idea. This was our friend with a very concrete idea of you.
What was that concrete idea of me?
What you're now saying that you can rely on. We thought of you as more of a rock, more sturdy.
Gosh, was I not? Boy, was I ever not.
Yeah, and so that was what was shaking, I think, to a lot of your support network. Was we were like, wait, we're the unstable ones. You aren't supposed to be the one that's and
I think it's hilarious you guys thought of me as a rock.
Well, not a rock, yeah. Well, just in the sense for yourself. That stable. For yourself, at least, that you, Ask any of the crew, for lack of a better word. Sorry. People. That's definitely what everyone was like. We're like, wait, if this is happening to Philip, what's in store for me? So yeah, but I'm glad you've now got a better sense of that.
Yeah, and I feel softer, funny enough. I didn't survive by being hard. The lesson out of all that wasn't have a harder shell. I feel both stronger and softer.
I think that shows, actually. Sincerely, I do.
And I would thank the fairies for that. The fairies really taught me to live through my heart. So
we're going to save the fairies for a European discussion when we do episode 17. And where's the... Oh, no, it's all secret towns and places, right? Yeah. I'm trying to think of... I could go on for hours. You and I can talk for days, and we can, because it's time waster radio, so it can literally go on forever.
So you just don't know
About what?
anything.
Nothing. Zero.
Your conception of the future is what?
Pretty blank. Like, I'm throwing myself. I would like to go spend 6 months to a year in Greece, or Europe in general.
Yeah.
Even though I just got back from 5, and that sounds super bougie, but believe me, and I've been telling a few people this, like, Instagram and social media, or even just conversations, often make it seem way more glamorous than it is. And so I have a very realistic idea of what I'm about to go do, and it's not. I want a bit of peace. I really want to go and paint in a cottage or something for. And I know it sounds like hilarious, and I sound like the landscape painter that I've never been. But I just want to go sit in peace for a bit. Yeah, I think me painting for 3 months quasi alone will be the best remedy to
I hear that, yeah. I think it will be too. And that's a country you can do it in for $400 a month.
Less than that.
Yeah.
I've been doing my research. I can do it on an island for like 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, and I'm lucky enough that like work's coming my way. Like someone told me when I was a really gregarious 16-year-old in Kansas trying to get shows at like everything, libraries, cafes, stuff. And we didn't even have cafes actually where I grew up, but I would go across the state border. Funny enough, when I first started getting in like to the larger art scene in quotation marks, this woman from one of the larger collectives, she recognized my determination. She was like, it's so sweet to see someone like this young and determined, and I would get frustrated over and over again about shows or being put in group shows, and I thought I needed to have my grand whatever, and she was like, listen honey, people aren't going to start, you need to paint like this, but no one's going to care until you're 40. And I was like thinking about Basquiat and other people, and I was just like, no, it's not true. In the real world, in the realistic elements, it's been very true. Since I turned about 38, I don't have to do... So that goes to the balance of like struggle and depression. I don't have to worry. A lot of stuff comes to me now. I know that sounds really arrogant, but it's comforting. Like, I don't have to seek out... that part, I think, was really...
Yeah, you've spent 20 years laying a foundation.
25 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels better. That part, so I don't worry about that part anymore. Now I just worry about like eating on time and enough about me. Although this podcast is really about me. We also should remember, you and I did a video, Time Waster Radio, remember?
No.
You told a very off-color joke in a bathroom.
Was it like that Jewish pedophile joke?
Yeah, totally. And then...
Oh, right,
I'll post that link along with
Did you
this.
Did we do an interview where I talked about my depression in my 20s?
You did, but I think I might have...
It.
I think it's still around. Either yours... I interviewed you and Macklin and someone else, and 2 of them disappeared, and so then I felt guilty, and then the whole project fell apart.
Oh, well.
But now we're back. We're back with a vengeance. And I also... could you tell... what's the name of that Courtney Love song you were playing?
Sunset Strip.
And that's off America's Sweetheart?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make sure to put a little part of that.
A little bit of that.
Somewhere in this interview. Any other musical requests that you want inside the...
What am I listening to? I just rediscovered Mazzy Star while I was in Berlin this trip. And
The pop album? The one that...
I don't know them well enough. I only know just that song, Hala. Hala.
I don't know it. I'll have to do some research.
It's gorgeous.
And it wouldn't be a you and me thing without playing Indigo Girls, so
Oh my god.
Watershed? We can't go with
What's a good Indigo Girl song?
I'm gonna go with Watershed.
What would I listen to right now if I had to? Indigo Girls? I've been listening to History of Us, which is really suicidal music.
I don't know that. I don't know that at all. I'll have to do some research on that. Yeah, who's the new hip happening band?
Oh, Nina Simone, Ain't Got No. That's what we're listening to.
That's true.
That is a good song to listen to in depression.
I think Nina, anytime, anywhere.
But that song in particular just reminds you.
I gotta say, Mississippi Goddamn has gotten me through the last 16 months. I selfishly wish it was called Kansas Goddamn, but still. What other music?
I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson,
Okay.
who is this Canadian professor. He has a large kind of white young male alt-right following. And
Of course, you're listening.
but there's this whole constellation of scholars
Oh, I know who you're
Who
talking about. I've been listening
are
to
sort of right. And they're pointing out that the
fascist liberal elements.
fascist liberal elements, all of which I really agree with. And then you go one kind of iteration outside of that, and then you get all the alt-right, white
Yeah.
supremacist insanity. But sort of in the middle part, there is this sort of, there are a handful of scholars and intellectuals on the right. I don't even know if I should call them right-wing.
Yeah, I don't like these terms.
They're conservatives, but they also make complete sense to me.
It's a slippery slope, though.
Their critique of how liberals have just gone fucking insane with identity politics and this culture of victimization.
I don't disagree with it, but I also think, too, you always have, for me, I always have to remember, especially coming from Kansas, is that the conservatives have for decades now been really good on manipulating the message and subversively changing, like, whatever the left or whatever you want to call it, I don't even like using that either, but like the idea, the culture war, their version of the culture war is actually coming from the right. The left is dominating the media to a certain degree, but that's not, those are, I think, are basic social norms for a lot of folks. The right pushes it like as though they're using that victim language for themselves. So that's how the right has been pushing this concept that we're victimizing them and their values. And there's an argument for some of that, but I think in general, I don't fucking
Well,
buy it.
I think it's because I don't live in a conservative world. And so
No,
I live in a liberal world. And the liberal world I live in feels fucking insane to me.
Yeah.
In the way, and I don't see a critique of the liberal world from liberals themselves. So when I hear it reflected and validated from outside of the liberal world, I'm shocked that I agree with it, because these are people in general whose politics I don't agree with.
Yeah.
But
is there a religious element to this? These are like
Jordan Peterson is pretty Christian, I think, but I don't think his talks are particularly religious.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the amount of energy that liberals and queers put into, and people of color and immigrants put into whining and I'm, oh my God.
And reboxing, I'm very fascinated by the current culture of internal ghettoization of whatever tribe you're in. It's not, for me, it's like growing up in the 90s, a lot of that stuff, which I was angry with then and didn't have the mental capacity to understand why it was bothering me.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see it come back and now see both the far right and the far left. And again, I actually shouldn't be using those terms. I hate the red state, blue state thing too. I think all of it's bullshit. It's also problematic in America. We've got this whole, red state, you pick your team, you pick your color. Blue state, you got your mascot, you show up to the stadium. We've turned it into a terrifying football game. Our politics are the Super Bowl. Did I go on a horrible tangent? I'm bored with both, and that is why I'm going to Europe.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got other problems too, but... And the right's rising. Did you hear, when you were in Athens, did you hear the
neo-Nazi rallies. Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrifying. Yeah, that was gross. Super gross. Oh, now we're on a negative spiral. Let's not do that. Let's take a moment. Breathe.
Yeah. I mean, my other critique is also, I mean, it's part of why I stopped making art because, well, I don't know. I mean, there were personal reasons why I stopped performing, but a lot of it is also the audience has gotten dumber.
I agree.
Audience has gotten stupid, you know?
But you think that's just age, though? Do you think?
I don't think that's age. I think it's the culture.
Yeah.
I think it's generational, is what I'll say.
I mean, I know some sharp kids. I mean, they're actually much. I feel like I meet people who are more well-read than my peers when I was growing up.
I just went to a party with a bunch of young performance artists, and boy, does their work suck. And they're all caught up on identity politics. They all have to do this thing before they do their piece about qualifying that they're an immigrant or a trans person or a victim of violence, or if they're white, then they have to expound on their white guilt and their privilege as a cis woman, and they all have to lay out their identity sort of cards so that they can earn their right to speak, and it's tiresome and the work is stupid.
This is what I'm talking about. Reboxing. People are like
stupid.
People are boxing themselves, like, and it's necessary. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
It's fucking boring.
Yeah, if that movement produced good art, I would shut up.
Bring out the clowns, is what I say.
But it doesn't, does it? It doesn't.
I mean, there's obviously going to be exceptions to that. There's definitely good work.
I haven't seen one.
Well, maybe it's just the Bay Area. I don't know. You said you didn't want to talk about contemporary performance art, and then you lashed out.
Then I lashed out.
Who do you recommend seeing in the Bay Area?
I don't know. I don't follow the scene anymore.
Okay.
You know.
How do you feel about drag?
Indifferent. I mean, Monique is someone I'll go and see. Monique Jenkinson. Nobody, I don't see anybody who wants to make trouble anymore.
But are you actively seeking those shows too? See what's
No,
happening?
I'm not. I'm not. But who in the queer scene is trying to make trouble?
Me.
You. That's true. Like, I don't know. That spirit is gone. I feel like there's no punk anymore in the queer scene. There's no.
It's funny. I just saw a Riot Girl or Riot Women show.
Yeah, how was it?
Or Persons of Riotness. It was really good, and I liked it. It was a lot of L7 influence, stuff going on, and a few of the people in the audience were like, "Oh my god, noise rock," and I was like, "Dude, Trump's in office. It's basically Reagan, 80s, Bush. We're gonna have a resurgence of real." And I was like, I was glad I was seeing a femme version.
I guess drag queens are the last people who can be on PC.
Kind of.
Sort of.
Yeah.
But,
But then you're coming from the root of also characterize the gender politics of drag or whatever. I get.
Oh, really? Want to do a gender critique of drag now?
I understand the history clearly, and I totally respect the concept of which it's come from. But
yeah,
I
as
also
if women have sole propriety over.
Yeah, they
do over femininity.
I hear you, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I do sometimes when I'm watching drag shows. Well, like watching I never watched RuPaul until I went to fucking Europe and everything was like free on Netflix or whatever. So I binged it and I enjoyed it, but I mean, there's like poverty porn and like class politics within it. And yeah, again, I also just want to watch entertainment, but when it comes, there's something of like, if that's the representation that's seeping in, which is true right now. Drag Race is like pretty much the predominant queer.
Really? I don't find Drag Race that interesting.
I
Can't
don't
watch
either,
it.
but I'm talking about straight people. So again, this goes into a whole concept of like that's what they're watching. Like there's a lot of voyeuristic elements of people watching Drag Race to be like to find their gay friend or whatever, and whatever it bores me. Blah blah blah.
Ugh. You see, this is the point you always come into when you start talking about art.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did it. It was my fault.
You know, I always come to this sort of like indifference plus disgust.
Which also,
And let's face it, even in you know sort of our golden age 7-8 years ago, 90% of the art that was being produced was bullshit.
For
Even
sure.
in that golden age,
And most of it
my
by me.
God, no, most of it was not by you. But I remember even in that what we kind of fondly remember as golden age, it was always
Still
going to
pretty-
show after show that were just fucking awful.
True. But the people were lovely, and that's the important.
Were they lovely? Not all of them. Not all of them. Many were. But, yeah. I don't know.
Well,
You know, I'll tell you the best drag show I saw recently was in Tel Aviv.
nice.
That was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
those
it in like a
queens.
proper bar or?
No, it was in a theater. It was, yeah, those queens were really going for it. Yeah, I was very, very impressed by the ambition and just kind of like the finesse of performance that they had. It was so the level of performance was so.
Can you paint a
Technical.
picture?
You know, one did a Charlie Chaplin piece, which was how adorable. A Buster Keaton Charlie Chaplin piece. Did a whole storytelling silently. It was just a beautiful piece. Yeah, and that was the first show I think I sat in where I felt like I was watching drag for the first time again. Like when I used to go to Tranny Shack
Yeah.
years and years and years ago.
Years and years
Yeah,
ago.
Years and years and years ago. That
Darling.
gave me hope.
Yeah.
But I tell you, you know, even when things were good, the shows were awful. And now that I don't have an investment even to participate in the community, I don't really have the patience to be disappointed or bored. So I don't go to things.
Says Philip Huang, who has basically gone several times onto very specific stages with the intention of doing the complete opposite of what was supposed to be displayed.
Yeah.
So,
I perform now mostly in houses. I do a lot of the no talent shows on the ferry circuit. And that's enjoyable, but
I'm planning a going away party somewhere, and I want you to perform. I want you to just perform.
I'll come out and do the rose for you.
Perfect. All right. Sold.
Price Ripper would like that.
Awesome. Good job.
What else, Peter Max?
I don't know. I really don't know what else. I mean, I've run out of whiskey, so I'm a little upset. It's a half joke. Where are we at? Where are we at in our lives?
I'm so curious. I want to parse your finances.
You can.
Like, how does that work for you? How does your finances work?
My finances?
Yeah.
I mean, right now. Luckily, right now, my friend, I'm doing a dog walking gig.
Oh, good.
So no, I'm earning a little bit of money right now through a very friendly, sweetly overt gesture. But no, I'm flush right now, like way more than normal. Like I'm actually I'm glad you brought that up. I'm enjoying the city a little bit more because I'm not fucking stone cold.
I guess here's what I'm really asking. What is your relationship to money?
It's convenience. So when it's around, it's awesome. When it's not, I wiggle around it. I don't know. I mean, I still have. Oh my God! If I told you, Hertz is after me. Like, I rented a car when I was in Kansas, and the hailstorm destroyed it, and it was parked in a driveway. And when the insurance folks came to grab it, they didn't consider the parking of the car to be in a driveway because there was still grass there, but it was legally the driveway for the place. So they're trying to bill me for an entire car.
Shit.
Yeah, whatever. I don't fucking care. I'm over this shit.
You don't fucking care.
No, I don't care. I do try really hard to like keep my address. I love I'm giving this all. I try to like I don't like people I know getting harassed for any of that stuff, but I don't fucking care. What? Like I owe Hertz a fucking car because a fucking tornado and hailstorm destroyed it? I don't fucking think so.
So financial ruin for you is not one of your fears.
I've been living in financial ruin since before I moved to the Bay Area.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are your fears?
Debtor's prison.
Doesn't happen in the U.S., does it?
Not yet. Look at the current administration. I wouldn't be surprised.
You're gonna end up like some fucking Charles Dickens debtor's prison.
I'm going to Europe before the debtor's prison starts. That's my plan. No, but I don't. I'm sorry. What was the question? Is like, what's my deal with money?
Fear.
I mean, it sucks when you don't. It sucks when you can't eat, but this is the beauty. Like, I don't know. I have good friends. Like, shit happens. I don't really. It's whatever. Everything I own just burned in a ball of fire. Like, everything.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, meh. I miss stuff. Things come up daily. But I'm not like... I think about you, actually, and your, like, whole one wardrobe for 6 months till it deteriorates. And I think I live a small version of... I mean, I have a little... I have to have at least, like, 3 options for clothing on the day. Sunlight's different. I gotta photograph well. And I need high heels, but yeah, I don't... Whatever. And especially now. Whatever. It can all go away. As long as everyone's safe. And that's too, I'm pretty sure that's the next lesson for me, is to realize that I'm definitely gonna... I've lost a lot of lives in the last 3 years, but they weren't, like, super close, and now I'm a little paranoid. I'm like, this is my next lesson.
Mm. Yeah.
Speaking of, you have a book called The Pornography of Grief.
The Pornography of Grief. Yeah.
Get your plug in.
Get my plug in, yeah.
So you're going to start distributing it
I'm
yourself?
going to republish it, so...
How can people get a hold of it?
Don't know yet.
Okay, well...
Probably online.
We'll publish it. We'll publish a link underneath this somehow. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
You don't have a website or anything anymore, do you?
No.
Awesome.
Awesome, yeah.
Is awesome overused? Do you think I should stop it out of my vocabulary?
No, it's a good word.
Yeah.
I say sweet a lot.
Sweet? What about
sweet?
Neat? What do you think about neat? I don't trust people who say
no. That's weird.
And nice. I find nice on, like, especially, like, sex apps and stuff when people are like, nice. Nice.
No.
Nice. And then I find myself doing it when I want to turn people off.
Nice.
Do you have... Oh, let's talk... Actually, there are a couple more subjects. Let's talk about hookup strategies on apps. Do you... Do you... Like I just said, do you have an active way of, like, politely turning people down?
Yeah, it's called... If they say, oh, you're really sexy...
Yeah.
And, well, first of all, if they're crass and they just ask for a dick pic, then no response.
Of course. Well, we're women of the night.
The women of the night. But if they're sweet and they're very sweet, I'll just say thank you. But I don't, yeah.
Yeah. You leave it, you end it with just positive note. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really need any more cattiness in our...
First, I totally agree with that.
In the world. Do we?
It's hard though. I'm also getting hit on by a bunch of, like, I'm not into younger guys, generally speaking, and I'm reaching the age of maturation.
Daddy age,
Daddy twink.
But you don't like young guys.
Not into the younger guys, but it's. I also don't like the no pick. Like, I am getting, like, I used to hate to read those profiles where people are like, they have a list of shit, and they're just like, no. It is annoying when people approach you and you have no idea who they are. It's just like, I mean, they could be lying as well with the pic, but still.
Yeah.
And they often are.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at me blankly.
I don't know. It's a boring topic.
Oh, sorry.
It's like, do we need, like...
It's your show. Tell me what you want.
I don't know. Any last questions you want to ask that you've always wanted to ask?
What are you gonna... Me for you?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
please.
I'll ask you one.
A question I want to ask. I was just gonna ask you what you're gonna do with your day.
I don't know. It's wide open right now. I have to go shopping.
For food or?
Yeah. Probably go for a swim. Work on my book. What about you? You have a hookup at noon.
Yeah, I'm gonna go sleep with a stranger at noon, and then...
It's not noon, isn't it?
It's probably past it. And then I've got to go back home and do some work. Home in quotation marks.
Home.
Yeah.
What is your idea of home?
Home on the range, where the deer and the antelope reign, where seldom is heard a discouraging word. That's home. You never made it to Kansas. I'm gonna have to take you out there.
Yeah, I never have.
When I get back from Europe, we'll go to Kansas.
I want to go to Kansas. I want to go to Santa Fe.
Taos, no, maybe.
Taos, maybe. And definitely I have a bunch of invitations to go to Portland.
I actually am gonna have a show
Like, that might be... Oh.
in Portland. Let's figure out a way to go there together. Oh, we never got to discuss the Boise trip. We'll just have to save it all for the next adventure.
One.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think this is gonna do it. Do you feel good about it?
I feel good.
Okay. Anything you want me to edit out of it?
No.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Bye.
Time Waster Radio. Radio for those who refuse to listen.
Okay, bye.